Welcome to my channel. Today we talk about the burdens that our children of single-parented homes or in co-parented relationships, the kind of burden they bear. Why I talk about this is because I did not realize early enough, I did not realize soon as I started this journey that their life is very different from what I know. It was not my reality growing up. I was raised in a nuclear home, and therefore I do not have an experience of what it means to visit two families, two homes, to be in this home at a certain time of the year and the other home a certain time of the year. I do not know what that experience is like. I do not know what parents not sitting down together at the table means. That was not my reality. Yet it took me quite long to realize that they have a different life. They're going to go through a different life experience than I did. Unfortunately for my children, I only woke up to that reality in one incident that happened in our lives. So we had moved into a new neighborhood, and this neighborhood had a good number of children, most of them the age of my children. And so it was a good experience for them in terms of finding new friends. The children in that estate were very, very friendly. It was a small estate. It was very homely. It was one that felt very safe to raise my children in. And so by day two of moving in, the neighbors' children came to visit and to just introduce themselves and to hang out with my children. And I let them into my house, and they were given a tour by my children. And I was still unpacking and organizing the house when I noticed that they were moving from one room to the next, which was fine. So they'd go into this room and say, "So whose bedroom is this?" They would be told. Then they would go to the next one and say, "Whose bedroom is this?" And they would be told. And then they came to my room and they said, "Whose bedroom is this?" It was not, I guess, very obvious to the children, because as much as it was a bigger room, it had a small bed, which most likely is not the reality of these children, who actually almost all of them, in fact, all of them had come from nuclear homes. So it was not very obvious to them whose bedroom that could have been. And it's because my bed was a very small bed. It was a 3.5 by 6 bed. And so they asked, "Whose bedroom is this?" And I was in the next room, so I could hear that conversation. I said, "Whose bedroom is this?" And one of my children said, it's my mom's bedroom." And that must have confused the children, because one of them said, "Oh, your parents have a very small bed. Where does your dad sleep?" And at that point, I knew I needed to step in. It was an unexpected question. And so I walked into the room and said, "Hey, children, I think it's time now for you to go outside. I want to work a little faster, but thank you for visiting." And I ushered them, all of them, including my children, out of the house. But I was left thinking about that question and wondering how my child was supposed to answer that question. And it's not like there's anything wrong with that question, because these children were puzzled. They know their parents' beds are not that size from where they were coming. And so they were curious, which is understandable. But then I had ushered them out before an answer was given. The question was not directed to me, but I interrupted that conversation. So I sent them out to go and play. But then as they left the house, I closed the door behind them, and I stood there at the window watching them and still thinking, what was my child supposed to answer? What was the right thing to say there? And as I was thinking, this child, who was still very curious, trying to understand, what did I just see? Like, how is that possible that that's a parent's bedroom? So this little child said, and they were about what? Maybe about 6, 7. My children were about 8, 9. So this child says, "Where does your dad stay?" And then my child must have said, "We don't stay with dad." And then this child, with the knowledge they had, said, "Oh, yours is a broken family." And those words hit me so hard. I was shocked. I was listening to this conversation coming from these sentences, these words coming from a 6, 7-year-old, a very brilliant child. And I was shocked. I froze for a moment, and I was still, my eyes were still set on my child. They couldn't see me. So I was still watching my child, looking all confused about what is the child supposed to say. And so I interjected again and said, "Oh, so and so, please come back to the house briefly." So I called my children back in. And I'm not sure what I said to them after that, but all I remember is that that moment shocked me. And that's when I realized, whoa, my life, our lives as single parented homes have burdened our children. We have put them in a place just by virtue of being in this family. They are now put in a place where they have to take a bit more than any other child. They have to deal with shame. They have to deal with answering such a difficult question, not because of anything they did of their own, but just because something went wrong with the parents. And yet those questions are not being directed to the parent. And that's when I realized really that their life is different from mine, and that I need to be more aware. I need to be more involved. I need to get into their world a little more to understand what exactly goes on in their lives. When they go to class, for example, and they're in class and the teacher says, draw a picture of your family. What do they draw? What is that experience like? What do they feel? What most likely has been said in class in terms of single parented homes? Yet this is not something they are responsible for. It is such a pity. But I think why I talk about it, like I said, is because for me, I did not realize the weight. I did not realize the impact in terms of their everyday life. The burden to our children is so huge, and at times we don't notice it. And it comes from whichever direction. In that case, in that particular story, it came from other children who were just inquisitive. They had no ill motive. They just needed to understand, because again, this life is not the reality of those children. So really for them it was baffling. They did not know what to think. Yet on the other hand, our children are also answering questions or dealing with embarrassing situations, even from grown-ups. I remember a situation where one of my children came and said, "Mom, why do grown-ups behave like this?" And I said, in fact, those were the words, "Why do grown-ups behave like this?" So I said, what has happened? What do you mean? And then the child went on to explain that we were coming back from this place with this person and other children. And then this person started asking me questions about my family. And then the child says, "And I know that this person is aware that I come from this kind of family. It's just that you don't know what to say to them. You don't want to be rude. Yet it feels really bad that they're asking for information from you as a child." And so it is pretty sad that we by virtue of being in this space in terms of co-parenting or single parenting, our children are faced with difficult life situations. They are tasked indirectly to answer questions on behalf of the family. They're aware, they know that this is not a normal family setting as such. Yet, as they're dealing with the shame that comes with this, because the single parenting experience has shame, both on the parent and on the children. And so as they deal with that, the society will also pile pressure, either because someone felt this is a good target in terms of getting information from, in terms of a child, or others unknowingly would make assumptions. It is difficult. So for me, it was sad that I had to learn from that experience to begin to try to get into their life and realize that I did not face those questions. I was not tasked to explain my family. But then here I am raising children who are now being the face of this family and taking some certain blows on behalf of the family. I'm not there, I may not be there when they're playing in the playground or when they're in class or any other social spaces. And so As a parent, you do your best to explain life has given them this difficult situation, but that doesn't define who they are. They are not broken, and that they are blessed, and that they will be great men and women of God, and that they'll be great influencers in this world in a positive way. You speak life, yet still emphasizing the importance of nuclear families. It's important that we get to understand the space of our children, how they perceive life, what difficult situations they get into because they've come from this kind of family, and because maybe nothing will change in terms of the family setting. Help them maneuver, because there are certain assignments that God has put in their lives for them to accomplish while in this world, to make a difference in this world in a positive way. And so we just keep encouraging them, keep loving on them, and keep helping them to walk this journey, as difficult as it is and as different as they may feel from the other children, just to remind them that they are not broken. Instead, they are blessed and that they are loved.